So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're all locked up in this lockdown period, so I thought I'd just have a look through the cameras that I use currently, also look at the helmet cam setup, and then also look at the editing software that I use to edit all my videos on the iPad. Just give you a few tips and point you in the right direction if you're thinking of doing any videos, and just give you an example of what I use currently. So stick around, stay tuned, and I'll be right back. So for cameras, I use mainly 4 cameras in my setup, and the main helmet camera I use DJI Osmo Action. This is a camera that kind of like a GoPro action cam. I've used these for about 2 years now. I find them really reliable. I've had no issues whatsoever with them, and with the latest firmware updates that they've brought out for this just recently, I think the color and the color grading on the footage is absolutely superb. In fact, I would say it's better than GoPro. The camera itself, I use on the front of my helmet as a main vlogging camera. I always shoot in 4K 60 frames per second. That's important actually, so that we don't get too much motion blur. So when you see the hedgerows rushing by, they're not all blurred in the actual video footage that I put out to you guys. So yeah, so that's my main helmet cam. On the front of it, I actually have an ND filter, and these actually screw on and screw off. So you can screw these off, or the standard lens cap back on. I do film with a ND4 filter, and what that does, it just makes the footage a little bit more crisper in my opinion. I leave it on full auto with that ND4 filter on, but I found that works for my setup. So depends on what you want to film and how you want to get your footage, but I think I've come to a sweet spot with that ND4 filter on the front there. What I like about the camera is it's a single push to record, single push to stop, and also it's very easy to access the buttons when it's on the front of your helmet with a thick glove on. So I find that some cameras, including the one that I'm filming with now, which is the Insta360 1R, is really difficult to get to the buttons. So the Osmo Action I feel is really good to be able to just single click record, and also you can hear the audible chime when it starts and stops recording, even inside your helmet when you're going along. So that's a good feature. It does come with a back camera. I'll just turn this on, or a back screen, should I say. So you can actually alter the settings on here however you want. And called rock steady, so stabilization. So as we're bouncing along going down the road, it doesn't jerk up and down and give you a bad footage. So the stabilization on these action cameras now is really, really good. Also, it comes with a front screen, so you can actually have a front screen on there. So if you're using the camera for, say, vlogging and things like that, it's really good. So this is my daily go-to camera that I use, the DJI Osmo Action. The other camera I used to use before we had good stabilization on these action cams is another camera from DJI, and this is the DJI Osmo Pocket. And this camera actually has a gimbal on top, so you know, you get stabilization from a 3-axis gimbal. I tend to use this not a lot these days, but I tend to use this camera for kind of B-roll and you know, sort of slow move up and down sort of footage of the bike or the surrounding areas, or a panning shot. Again, I can shoot in 4K 60 frames per second, which is what I shoot all my video footage in currently. So that's my camera that I don't use that often, but I do use it for family holidays and things like that more. The main reason is just that these cameras, the action cameras now with the stabilization on them, it's just as good, if not better, than the gimbalized cameras these days. And also it has a very small screen, whereas the Osmo Action has the big screen on the back. So that's my DJI Osmo Pocket. And I said the other camera that I use is the Insta360 1R. So when you see the shot of me, which I'll put up now, which actually looks back that actually is shot in 360-degree footage with the Insta360 1R. So then I just edit it in the production when I put it together on the iPad. One thing I will mention is that the Insta360 1R isn't the best camera for editing. It takes a long time because you have to edit it in the Insta360 software and then export it. And I can only actually export that footage on the iPad currently in 2K, not 4K. So any footage that you see from the handlebars looking back on me is always a 2K footage that I've then upgraded to 4K footage. And that's the camera that I use on the actual motorcycle handlebars, which I actually connect onto my brake reservoir via this little metal pole on the front, just using a GoPro mount and sticking it onto the top of the flat brake reservoir. The other things that I use on the 360 1R, it becomes or it comes in a modular format. So just at the moment, I'm using 4K normal flat footage, not the 360 footage, to film this just now. So it comes with a modular 360, which has a camera on the front and the back that basically clips in, and then you can get spare batteries that just clip onto the bottom. Then I have a couple of these just in case. One thing I found with this, if you do drop the camera because the lens is protruding out, you will scratch your lenses, and I have actually scratched one side of the lens. So you can actually get lens guards that go onto the actual housing of the camera, one either side, and then if you do drop the camera, you only scratch a £6 lens guard. You don't scratch a £180 bit of camera module. So just bear that in mind if you're thinking about getting an Insta360 1R. Basically, get the lens caps as well, the protectors that go on the front of it. All of the camera equipment I'm using today is actually linked below in the description. There are some Amazon links if you're thinking of purchasing one. I do get a little bit of a kickback off those links as well. So if you want to help the channel, you want to purchase some of the equipment that I use, then click one of those links below. So the other thing that I do use, as you saw on the Osmo Action just here, is a ND filter. And I do buy ND filters, mainly the Freewell ND filters. Again, there's a link below in the description to this particular one, all off Amazon, so next day delivery. And I have ND filters as well here for the Osmo Pocket. And I also have an ND filter just here, just a singular one. I'm not sure which one that is. I think that's an ND4 as well, that I actually use on my drone, which is the other thing that you see in my videos, some nice drone cinematic footage. And the drone I actually use, some of you have asked, is the DJI Mini 2. Now this was a recently launched drone that replaced the DJI Mini, the first one. The reason I bought this is because many of you know I actually crashed my other one in a river, and it was never to be seen again. But I did it at the right time because the drone laws have now changed, and any drone that's under 249 grams, as you can see it's written here, the drone weight, you can basically fly anywhere above buildings and around. So you're more freer to fly this 249 gram drone than you are one of the heavier ones. As from the 31st of December 2020, so just past, you do need to go online and register the drone, get an operator ID, and also a flyer license, which is about £9 a year, I think it is. Might be wrong there. But yeah, that's all you need to do. Take an online little test. Takes about 10-15 minutes to do. And then once you've got your operator ID and your flying license, you can then go and fly this pretty much anywhere. So it also shoots in 4K, 30 frames per second, which I wanted. And yeah, it's a great drone. Not sure if you're up on drones or not, but the actual frequency between the controller to the actual Mini here now is with OcuSync, so it's not over Wi-Fi. And the signal doesn't drop like it used to on the Wi-Fi signal version. So yeah, that's my little drone that you see. Hope you like the footage sometimes in the videos. It's just nice to get an overview of the area that you're filming. So onto the helmet. So the helmet I use is a HJC RPH A11 helmet. On the front of the helmet, I actually have attached a GoPro mount with a product called Sugru, and again, I'll put a link in the description below. It's a moldable rubber glue that actually basically you mold it into the shape you want, you stick it to the helmet, leave it 24 hours, and it's fully set. I do believe you can take this off as well without marking the helmet afterwards, but it's pretty sturdy, doesn't move, and then I just have some GoPro right angle mounts, and then the Osmo Action housing just on the front, just here. So basically I can put this camera straight in and clip it on, and then basically I angle and tighten it up at the front there, so you can see that's the helmet cam on the front, just there. And then, as you can probably see on the top there, I can easily access the buttons. Just a single press for record, single press for stop. Now on the side of the helmet, I actually have a product which is sold on the DJI website. It's a Sinova mic adapter, and this just plugs straight into the side of the helmet just here. If I get this right, the right way around. Yeah, so that just plugs into the side of the helmet just there, and then I've got a 3.5mm jack plug that basically goes inside the helmet. And then what I do with the microphone, I stuff it behind one of the cheek pads, and I put a little dead cat windsock on it, and it gives me perfect audio from the Osmo Action. When I first got this set up, the audio was a bit crappy. It kept peaking a little bit, but DJI have now updated the firmware on these so that the audio is pretty great. You do need to watch out for when you buy the 3.5mm lav mic, just to get a good quality one. So it's always worth spending a little bit of extra just on there. Again, I'll have a link in the description below to the one that I bought and put onto my helmet. So that's my helmet camera setup, and that's the DJI Osmo Action just there on the HJC helmet.
Okay, so on to the editing portion. So once I've finished all of my daily videos, what I do is I come home and basically I take all of my SD cards out of my cameras, and then what I do on the iPad is I actually plug an SD card reader into the side just here. I'm not going to unplug it because my my large monitor is just on at the moment. And then basically I put the SD card into, if I don't drop it. So then basically what I do is I put the SD card into the card reader, plug that in, and then what I do is I go to a program called Files. The Files program will then show up, and I can download the video then straight into my Photos section on my iPad. And then from there I'll go in to open up LumaFusion, and I'll start a new project of editing. And then from here, you probably just see just here, so I can go into my Photos section, and then literally I can grab hold and drag and drop into the timeline whatever I feel fit to put in there. And then I'm not going to go into detail on how to edit in LumaFusion. It's a learning process once you start any new type of software. There are lots of videos online how to do transitions and edit videos and things like that using LumaFusion, but I find it easier to do on an iPad. Also, when I'm traveling and touring, then I can easily take my iPad with me, and then I can edit on the go, and also any footage that I take on or off my camera on the SD cards. This iPad I think is 256 gigabyte memory. I can actually then store the videos, quite a lot of them actually, on the iPad. Or you can buy like a SanDisk SSD hard drive that you plug into the side. You can get up to about 2 terabytes of storage, and then you can offload all of your SD cards onto that. So that's one way of doing the editing, and it's the way I use and I prefer. The other side of it, I mentioned the Insta360. So what I have to do there is I have to go into a different program, which is the Insta360 app. Unfortunately, it's kind of portrait mode, all of the editing software in there. I believe on a PC it's not, it's in landscape, and I don't think you can change that currently. But by using the Insta360 camera, it does actually take longer to edit, because I have to edit the Insta footage in here, then I have to export it and then drag it into the from the Photos app into LumaFusion. So LumaFusion is the video editing software that I use, and this is what I've made the today's video on.
Okay, so I hope that was useful, and thanks for watching. As I mentioned, there are links in the description below. So if you want any of the equipment that I use, there are some Amazon links. As I said, they are affiliated links, so I do get a little bit of a kickback, but it all helps to support the channel, so thank you very much. The other thing that some questions might come in, so feel free to pop them questions below if you want to ask anything about the equipment in more depth. And one of the questions I always get asked is, how long does it take to edit a video? So if you take into consideration the 2-hour ride out to make one video, for instance, so that's 2 hours, it can probably take up to about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to download the footage off all the SD cards into my iPad. And then normally I'm probably editing for about 3 hours after that. So strictly speaking, it can take quite a lot of hours to edit a video, and obviously the more time you put into the video editing, the better the video content tends to be. But one thing I've found is, if you've got the best audio you can get on a video and the best video footage you can get, then that works really well for editing and trying to put something good out on YouTube. So another question I get asked is, how can I reduce the editing time? Some people go out there and they'll press record and they'll record a whole 2 hours ride. I tend not to do that, and I tend to just record the sections that I want to speak and talk about, or if there's an interesting place along the way that I want to record, then I just record sections as I go through the ride. And that way I don't take up hours and hours of trawling through video footage just to split the right clips out that I need to then put in the video. So I only try and record what I want for the video, and I find that method works really well for me, and it does cut down some editing time. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and in this lockdown period we've got another video coming up in about a week, so just bear with me during the lockdown period. And I hope everyone stays well and safe, and hopefully soon we'll be back out there riding again. Take care, guys. Cheers.